Hello and welcome to the Global Campfire of Coaching. This is an ongoing global discussion where we create a community, we exchange opinions, we exchange experiences, just like you would at the end of a long day of trekking through the wilderness. You meet some strangers that you have something in common with, you share a fire with them, and you share your stories. Today, somebody's sharing our story with us who is an agile coach. He has a lot of experience in organizational transformation. He has lived in China for more than 10 years. He recently came back to Europe, is living in Switzerland now. And he has a wealth of experience when it comes to change, about the need to change, and about how to master change. Dieter, very warm welcome to the campfire. We're glad to have you.
Oh, Fabian, I am so glad to be here. It was a very spontaneous thing to sign up for it, and I'm here. A little bit nervous because I've never done this before,
All right.
but feeling great because there's a lot I want to share with you.
Great. You'll do just fine. And so what I wanted to start off with before we jump into, your current situation, how you're managing all that change is I still remember when we met a year ago. I had that earmarked for if I ever get to interview you, that's what I wanted to ask you about first. And you mentioned that at the beginning, this coaching stuff, that sounded a little, you were a bit skeptic about that, weren't you?
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a few years ago. It's true. It is just precisely a year ago that we met in Antalya.
Mm.
And I need to really be more cautious what I'm saying. If people remember all of that, what I'm saying, I
And now
didn't
it's
know
even being
that.
recorded. People don't even have
And
to
now it's
remember.
getting recorded. Yeah, thank you so much. But no, it's true. And I think I was reflecting on that for a reason because things have changed. And yeah, exactly. That's the topic. And I came into coaching because I had to. I had to find a way to support transformational change. Of 32 managers at a big German IT company, world famous. I was living in China at that time. I did live in China for a long time, for 16 years altogether. And at that time was in charge of a huge transformation program for 2,000 employees of this company with their 32 managers. On the broad base of the employees, of teams, of the executional power of this company, it was about training and telling them what that is that has to change, and they did it. It was China, they don't question, they do. But when it comes to managers, things are a bit different. Managers are managers because they're supposed to know how things are. They're supposed to lead, they're supposed to manage, do things so that the people are well on track. But they're not easy to change exactly because of that. They are believing they know already because they're managers. And I was led by the German headquarters of this company in the way that we did this transformation, and they came up with the idea, also realizing in Germany it was no different, the managers there behaved the same. Coaching is needed to help them feel and execute the change on their level. So I went into a coaching education overnight, and really overnight. Wasn't even happening in the city where I was living, which is Shanghai. I had to travel to Beijing. And hit it. We're sitting there with 50 HR ladies, beautiful ladies, of course, and all of them HR, and all of them, interested in coaching. Maybe not so much with the specific purpose of change, but making a living out of it. Not for me, it was just part of a transformational program. And when this module 1 started of this famous coaching institution that I was becoming part of, Ericsson, of course, and yes, Ericsson. And they started to talk about the brain and about things where I was like, what is this? Are we going now to hold hands and then build a campfire, sit around a campfire and then a bit of a dance or something? And I go back to my 32 managing managers, high execution, and I tell them, a little bit of campfire, and we hold hands, and everything's fine, guys. It's just, it's brain work, so it's just, and I go, this is gonna work. It's not gonna work, and I just didn't listen. Okay, the thing was, I wasn't a big manager myself, but I had a lot of pressure on me in running this transformation and becoming successful with it. I was under pressure. I didn't really listen for the first two modules of these 4 modules training that I went through really on fast track. Oh, guys, I have a purpose. Okay, I need to do something. I have to tell me what to do. And well, the funny thing was, my teacher is Mrs. Marilyn Atkinson. At that time, she was. She isn't that trainer anymore, and it's a pity for everyone out there who isn't yet a trained coach, because you miss the best of the best if you're not trained by her. I was trained by her. I am extremely grateful for that. And she, I don't know, she took charge of me for whatever reasons. Ask her, I don't know. So she when we had these triads going on, practicing that what we learned, I didn't listen in the first place. She was always standing behind me, and she was like hitting me on the head. Just it hurt, okay? Hitting me on the head when I was again and again blah, 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 telling the people what to do, because damn it, I know if people have a problem, I have an answer, I have a solution, I know what to do. So why just ask all these questions and let's do a shortcut? I tell a person what to do and then just do it and everything's fine. And she was buff. You are not doing it right. Like, thank you very much. You're just my trainer. You don't need to hit me like that. Only my wife's allowed to do it. So it was right that she did it. It was right, because I had to understand, man, relax, listen, and understand what coaching really is. And I did. And the second I did, and the second I started to listen, believe it or not, I don't sound like I can listen. I am a talker. I learned to listen and started to coach. The day when that happened, oh, if I think about it, I have goosebumps. I realized, yes, I am going to change 32 managers by not doing anything else than listen. And that's precisely what I did. So I went into execution of this changing leadership program right after that, half year, and practice, 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 practice. Since then, I am a believer, a deep believer, built on that theory, but encouraged and strengthened by the practical experience of doing it for 32 people in half a year. That's a way to really know and understand. I was supported by a senior coach at that time. I didn't do it alone. I'm not a hero, but immediately could put it in practice. And since then, all the doubts that I had are long gone.
On your LinkedIn profile, you identify yourself even as an agile coach. So it's even something that you kind of carry on your banner, is that part of your identity is being a coach.
Mhm.
So if we jump forward from back then to right now in this very peculiar, special situation, maybe even more so for you than for some other people, because you had a recent change that is quite fundamental in you and your family's life. How has what you've learned in that course with Marilyn and in your experience since, how has that supported you in that huge change?
My funny thing is, it really comes back to Antalya a year ago as well, because I didn't just talk to you. I also talked to Marilyn. Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
And I went there because she wanted me to be there. We had met a few months earlier in that year, so beginning of last year in Beijing, and she invited me into it. And who can say no to Marilyn Atkinson? So I just went there. But it was exactly the right time, because I realized, okay, I need to change. I have to change fundamentally my entire life. Reason being, it wasn't working. There was this trade war happening between US and China, and I was a freelancer, and it wasn't easy to be a freelancer in China in the first place. But within this situation, I had nothing anymore that could support my family's needs on a daily basis. I wish just it was over, which was a pity because I loved China. And then everyone in Ericsson who knows about the things happening in China at this point of time, at that point of time, and in future, know what I'm talking about. It's a tremendously fascinating country. I had to leave. So I did, and I made this decision in Antalya. I flew back to Switzerland. I am in Switzerland right now. I am living in Switzerland for 8 months now. I got hired. That's just, that's how things are in life, that you get these opportunities when you need them. This is what life is all about. There's always one door closing and the next one opening. You just need to open your eyes to see this. And I had my eyes wide open. Maybe also because I am a coach and I have learned to not put too much pressure on myself. I can't coach myself, but at least I have this DNA now. Realizing, okay, here's the opportunity. And I was asking a lot of these great coaches in Antalya, and how am I going to make this? How am I going to make this for my family, not just for myself? So I started, and of course I went to Switzerland alone first. I had to make sure I can make it, not just theoretically. I had to put myself into it and see how it feels to myself, build the nest for my family, and then take them to me. And here's getting to the answer of your question. Being a coach is being for others. In being a coach, I don't focus on myself. I put myself in coaching position and I'm out. It's not about me. And I took this stance. Very soon okay, you're here, you have a job, you can do it. So take yourself out and look at this overall situation, this new job, this new country, this new culture, your family over there in that culture that is, well, not my culture either. But okay, I know how things are. I know what I need to do to build the bridge for them. Not saying, you have to come and follow me because what? No, freedom to decide this. Okay, but you should have told them, hey, you have to come. There's no chance. This is life. Okay. No, I told them this is the bridge, and you walk over as soon as you're ready, as soon as I'm ready, and let's do this together. I want you to come, but I don't force you. You come when you're ready. And they took the time. They took the time to be ready for themselves before they really hopped into the airplane themselves with all the luggage packed. The second they went, the second their airplane left and took off from Shanghai, it was a decision for life, because it wasn't taking off and going back and forth. No. We didn't cut these bridges, but that was it. When they were sitting in an airplane, I did know, okay, now it's reality. And all of this, and in the way that we started, and the way that I greeted them at the airport in Zurich and took them home into this apartment where I am right now, made them understand the differences, made them believe in it, made them proud of it, made them live it, made it work. I took myself out and never tried to force anything. And by that, and that's the most fascinating part of it, I achieved it extremely fast for them. My wife was the first. She saw Switzerland, she opened her eyes, she saw the nature and said, I'm in love with this. Second was my daughter, who started school, first year of school. She's 6 years old, so she was just the perfect moment. Getting out of kindergarten, international kindergarten in Shanghai, starting school, boom, zack. She speaks German already. And she didn't speak a single word of German when she was in China. My son, 14 years old, next. First my wife saying nature, all good. Second, my daughter, oh, cool. There's lots of friends here, cool. My son, I don't want to learn German. But taking this as an opportunity, and again, coaching, not telling him you have to learn German. If it doesn't work for you, we'll find a solution. That's what I told him. He did know, okay, if it really doesn't work, we'll find a way. But I give it a chance. He took a chance. He's working on it. Right now it's Eastern holiday. He sits there every day, learns German. He's also doing extremely fine. So this fascinating thing was, what about me? took me 6 months before I really arrived. Because for all this time, of these first 6 months, 2 months alone, and then another 4 months with my family, I wasn't thinking about me. I couldn't. I had to deliver. I had to make it work for them, and I did. Deeply persuaded that this is the right thing. Take myself out and be available for them. Also for my job, for the others, for this change that I'm in charge of at the company that I work for. And that is something I might need to write a book about, this moment where I turned, where I kind of switched the engine on, the Swiss engine and the Chinese engine off, where I accepted my own life in this entirely new environment. What did I do? I did coach. I did coach an employee at this company I work for in making them understand why it didn't work with him anymore. It was a tough decision. It was a team coaching situation. So far, I'm talking about very individual coaching, my wife, my daughter, my son. In my work as an Agile coach, I'm a team coach. I'm also a leadership coach, that's more individual, but this specific element that switched me around was a team coaching situation where we had to exclude a person within the team because it didn't work. That's a pretty dramatic story behind it that I don't want to share. It's just what it is. Just take it as a fact. It had to be. But the thing and the way that I wanted to make this work was, again, a coaching situation where I'm like, okay, I am supposed to decide this. My management expects that from me. You decide this. My team decides this. We decide this together. This is something where we, with this person, together with this person, find a way to make this work so that everyone in the end wins.
Wow.
And I made this. And there was no way that I would make this as a manager, as a decision maker, as a consultant, as a Dieter, or I don't know what. Yeah, yes, there's Dieter behind this. But coaching and giving the whole team this feeling of togetherness, of we are one in this, and we need to bring this to this person that we as a team cannot continue like that anymore, so that he took this as an opportunity to learn. Say, okay, I love being here. It's an enormous team. It's great. So if you are saying it doesn't work, please help me to understand what I can learn from it. And we did, because he was a great person. He is a great person. He just didn't fit into this specific environment that I did create and had to have, so that the whole thing was working. Everyone within this team, me, the whole team, is still in close contact with him. He is now a different job. He's a great person. He has an awesome future ahead of him. He's looking back at us and believing, yeah, it was the right decision for me, just that I didn't know it as soon as you did. And he's very happy and grateful. And this appreciation I got from that's what turned me. Appreciation turned me into putting my feet down in Switzerland and saying, yes, I can create value in this country, in this new culture, in this new environment as well. Coaches can. They are global. They are not just German or English or French. I don't think I can coach everyone, but it is possible everywhere on this planet.
Yeah, coaching is truly universal. That's what I've found as well. But what really strikes me is that you say had you turn on the Swiss engine and gratefully kind of say goodbye to the Chinese engine, was this feeling of appreciation that you got, this feeling of contributing, of making a difference, right? And
Right.
that rings very true with me. I've also found that when, I mean, both personally and on a more abstract level, when people are able to contribute something, that makes them a lot more resilient. When they feel like they can give to the people around them, they themselves are in a much better place. It's this big reframe, right? This big shift from what you might expect. It's not, oh wow, I have to keep all the emotions and kind of I have to keep all the attention on myself in order to make myself resilient and in order to survive. It's if I give attention to others, if I give care to others, then I will get so much back and I'll have more than I ever had in the first place.
Right. It's not money, it's not financial, it's not something that I can carry home. I carry it with me until the end of my days. It's so extremely valuable.
Yeah. And to live that, to hold that to such a degree that you would employ that mindset in a situation where, even a lot of coaches would say, yeah, this is honestly, this is just a decision. This is just where you have to be tough. You have to establish your authority and you just have to
Mm.
manage in that moment. It's not a moment to kind of make this as a group decision. What's next? Are they going to fire me? Is the team going to say,
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah. It
um,
was risky. Sure.
yeah.
Sure. It was very risky.
So how did you, I guess, get to that place? How are you able to hold these values so strongly and to, in a way, take a risk that you're willing to include your team in decisions as, sensitive as that?
Looking into myself and asking myself and just speaking the truth. I had no other answer in myself than this. It's just the truth. I was certainly thinking, well, you have to decide, but I didn't know what to decide and how to decide. And at that point of time, I was with that team that I formed already on a very high level of trust, also achieved through coaching. What do you think? And believe in each other and openness to discuss the toughest things that we can imagine. We were just in the beginning of a huge change. Yes, this is a software team, it's a software development team, and they are developing the next generation software for this entire company. They are two teams, there's 20 people that are split into teams that I work with in parallel, partially together, all 20, and they are extremely important. They are among the best people that this company has in their R&D department. And I didn't know if I listen to them, I will find a better solution than just listen to myself or to my management. My management didn't know either. They said, it's your decision, prove your value. So, okay, fair enough. This was exactly the point where I thought, okay, no, I need to prove myself here. This is still new, but I can't. Honestly, the answer is I did not know. But maybe that's exactly where experience comes in. Maybe that's exactly what made me a mature human being, to not try to know, but trust that the answer is there, but that's not always me who has to deliver it. There's a much stronger answer if you give more mind, more sense to it by others.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to postulate that, read that in a book, and it's another thing to put that into practice when, in a sense, your livelihood might be on the line. The project is very central to the company's future well-being, from what you're telling me, especially with all the added environment of just having brought your family over, all of that. So
Yes.
it's really high stakes. So it's not a small thing to say I actually authentically um,
Yeah.
believe in this and act in congruence with this rather than falling back into what everybody else would be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay. There's an element of experience that comes in there. There's this whole agile topic, which would be a topic for a next campfire, because this alone will fill several fire. Yes, of course. There's an expertise that made me believe in this, and not just a theory. Sure, but yeah, well, and it turned on the engine. So of course it was big, but the bigger it gets, the more you get out of it.
Mm.
Taking the risk is sometimes, well, the best thing to do.
Yeah. All right. So if we kind of bring it even more to today, right now, where I assume you're at home and have been for a few weeks, like many of us. So you have that trust and this wonderful working atmosphere in your team. How do you
Hmm.
maintain that and build on that while you can't be in the same room with them?
Hmm. I wasn't with them in the same room all the time, even in that extreme important decision. The team is split for three locations: Zurich, here in the northern part of Switzerland, called Herburg, no one knows, and Munich. And in the office with me in Herburg, where the company sits, is just 4 people. In Zurich, there's 5, and the rest sits in Munich. So, sure, the Zurich people were joining me on a regular basis. It's just 1 hour trip. Switzerland, it's not China anymore. But Munich was, we never made it to be twice. Within the last 4 months we worked together, we made it twice to be all 20 together in one place, and that was always the headquarters here in Herbrook. But it is normal for us to work like we talk right now on video conferencing, and it even started like that. My first engagement with these two teams, building these teams, was all happening on video. Of course, when we kicked off this important event, everyone came together in Herbrook. That was one of the 2 times that we really came together. But I don't think that the essential trust that is in this team was built at that occasion. I do believe, and the world will see this happening, that a lot is possible in these kind of online sessions. It is, and why? Because look at us. We are eye level here. And you can really make full use of it. But it really is important. I put them on individual cameras. I don't want that the whole team there in Munich all sits there in front of one camera and there's lots of heads and they all sit and I can select them because it allows me to individualize them. Although they are all there, I can go through the list. They're all there. Okay, now let's start. And then so I have, in being a team coach, individual situations. That's pretty powerful, to be honest. It's almost better than being with them on a big round table. So now I do this again, of course. Now it's even absolutely one-to-one because everyone is sitting somewhere else. These are colleagues. This is not a family. We're not allowed to be together. It's just, for me, perfect. It's a perfect situation for guiding, leading, motivating, inspiring these people.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that approach. I have been trying to get people to see that coaching online is very
Yeah.
powerful. And even I like when coaching online, I even love to turn off the video and then just have to be me being the
Mhm,
voice in the
mhm.
head of the person that I'm talking to. I think there's a certain
Correct.
level of intimacy that is hard to achieve when you see each other and you kind of have to keep up appearances and you kind of have like what is that? What is the
Yes.
face the other person's making? And if you kind of eliminate all of that, you can focus
Yes.
on what's really important in that moment is what I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have so many questions. I am kind of trying to keep myself to a kind of to a certain maximum length of these episodes. But one or two more questions, kind of practical ones. If people want to know more about Agile, because it's still something that's being thrown around a lot, where can somebody start that makes sense? Because my first question to you was back then in Antalya, where can I get a certification? And you told me that's the wrong question.
Yes.
Because you can get tons of certifications and it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah,
So, what
it's
would
not
be a
like
meaningful
ICF.
start to an
Yeah,
agile journey?
I think it's normal. I believe in this ICF certification, although I don't have it. But in terms of this agility, there's a lot out there. Certified Scrum Master, certified practitioner, what do I know? And then different organizations, and it's a money machine. It's a big, big, big money machine. not saying that ICF isn't a big money machine either, but it makes a bit more sense to me with also this categorization of coaches. So this is not the answer. A book is a good start. And there's a lot of good books out there, and I could recommend a few. I could put together a list of books that I consider important. I didn't read them.
So how do you
That what I
so how
am
do you know they're
today.
important then
Yeah,
if you didn't read them?
I did it. I was thrown into it. I was trusted into it. That's a big question. Why did people trust that I can do it? Oh boy, I cannot answer that so easily, and it is also on others to answer that question. Why they did believe in me? It was turning into a good decision that they believed in me. But maybe because I was in China, I was a German in China. So I don't know. I really don't want to qualify myself in this, but it is the practical experience, and believe me, man, did I do a lot of mistakes. The good thing is in this real agile mindset, that's exactly.
Well, and that's where technology started to fail us, which is a little bit ironic considering how enthusiastically we'd been talking about technology as a way to connect people and make these authentic and powerful connections and build trust. We decided to leave it there. Um, because we figured if we started the call again, we started recording again, the episode would go another 30 minutes. How do we know that? Because we called each other again, we talked off the recording without recording for another 40 minutes. So, again, I'm trying to keep these short. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, for listening. Come join us. We record almost every day on Facebook, the Global Campfire of Coaching. If you type that in, you'll get to the page. Noon Eastern Time, 6 p.m. European Time. That's usually when we record. Just check it out. You can ask questions live and interact with the episode. It will be fun. So long, and talk to you soon.